Thank you all for joining. So the agenda for this webinar categorized into three simple sections: why, what, and how. Why, in the why section, we will focus on the size of the problem. From there, we will try to derive how big the problem statement is. So why would focus on the size of the problem. In the what section, we will look at the various type of revenue leakages there are, and we will go through a few examples. And in how, we will look at the solution, which will focus on how to handle these revenue leakages. But with that, let's look at the why, which is essentially the driver. It's a fact that there is unrecognized leakage happening across the industry, across businesses under the surface. So we have the quote to cash life cycle, and there are various systems that come together to make the quote to cash life cycle possible. But the fact remains that revenue leaks because of various reasons, such as disconnected systems, broken feedback loops, and process inefficiencies. Now, this problem is something that most of us know. The question is, how big is this problem? So if we look at subscription industry, just the subscription industry market size, by 2025, it is expected to reach 1.5 trillion US dollar. And if we take just 4% of that, considering 4% as leakage, then that is 60 billion US dollars that we are talking about. And that's the impact. And if we ignore that, that's the money that is going to leak out, 60 billion. Now that I have your attention, the why part or the driver is quite evident. It is there staring at you with a $60 billion figure. So the next, as I said, is about the what part. What are the types of revenue leakages that we come across? In half an hour, it's not possible to boil the ocean or cover everything, but we have taken a few examples that comes across the quote to cash life cycle. So we'll start with the start of a quote to cash life cycle, which is the quote and the sales associated with that. So 5 examples or 5 types is what you see here in this screen. The first type is low priced device or product or service, which results in negative margin in addition to any subsidies for customer acquisition. One example would be the CPE, or the customer premise equipment, or the simple router or the DSL modem that comes at your house when you purchase internet service. So most of the cases, this would be provided as a one-off fee, which means that if the discounted price or if it is priced at a very low level, the recovery becomes almost impossible. Now, this issue is not just isolated to a telecom or an internet service provider. This is applicable to other areas as well. For example, content providers. If there are certain reward or promotional content that they are providing, and if again it is not priced well, then again that would result in revenue leakage. If you take the SaaS implementation, B2B, in the B2B world, the fixed implementation fee is a major factor. And if the complexities are not really considered at the beginning, that would mean that the company that is implementing the SaaS would incur a lot of cost and will not be able to recover the revenue because the contract is already locked. So this is an example of low price device or products and services. Another example is the incomplete customer information provided with a new code impacting order delivery and billing. Example is insufficient detail being captured in the health and wellness or in the in-home fitness business. So essentially, if that information is not correctly captured, it can result in incorrect personal or resource being allocated. And that means there is additional cost incurred by the time they do the reallocation. And also the customer will not be satisfied, losing customer. The third one is quotes or orders without verification. At times, what happens, there are overzealous salesmen, and which is actually pretty good to have such energetic salesmen, but they may go and commit a contract without properly verifying whether the systems are ready to fulfill those terms and conditions, or whether it is possible to bill those terms and conditions, those finer details. And most often it may not be ready, and they may have to forego those terms and conditions, resulting in X months of revenue being written off. Not those revenue associated with those terms and conditions being written off. The data mismatch in quotes order bill example is end date. That's yet another case, and with the example would be a discounted promotion which is being offered to certain customers for a 12-month period. But at the end of the 12-month, the billing did not revert to the standard tariff, which it was supposed to do. Because of the various mismatch in the data, that could not happen, and hence the discount rate continued. Again, the result is revenue leakage, revenue loss. The fifth case is selling products that are not marked for sale. Time and again, you would see promotions and offers that organizations roll out, where they encourage customers to sign up for those, but that is for a limited period of time. Any sale that has happening beyond the limited period of time is not something which an organization would like, because it impacts their margin and their profitability. But sometimes, because of inefficiencies across the systems, dates which are not properly put, the sale still happens, and that impacts the billability of that specific product. The next section is about order and subscription. After quote comes order and subscription. So here let's look at again 5 examples, 5 types and associated examples. NFE service ops. So those who are aware of IAS and PAS, the underlying technology that enables it is NFE. So if based on the load, typically the NFE mano dynamically allocates or releases the computing and storage resources. If the allocation becomes more, or if it's kind of an over allocation, then that is considered to be not economical for the company that is offering such service. Result, additional cost, loss in overall loss in terms of margin. Non-activation of large quantities of orders on time. So if the previous case was about XaaS business, this is something which applies across the industry. So having orders being stuck, that can result in poor customer satisfaction. Not just that, it can increase the contact center cost and also cost in terms of carrying out corrective actions. Try and buy products in trial mode, something which is quite popular to attract customers. But this can result in revenue leakage if the end of the trial period is not properly managed across various systems. This can result in revenue loss. Essentially, the user would still enjoy the trial period even after the supposedly end date of the trial. This can also trigger some fraud cases where a user might log in or may register under different names or accounts, thereby being able to enjoy that free trial. So that there's no mechanism to track such type of users. If the system doesn't have it, then again, results in revenue loss. The other side of the coin is that because of certain inefficiencies, what if, or say certain integration issues, what if there is an accidental termination of these try and buy products earlier than what it is expected to be? In such case, it impacts the conversion ratio, and the whole purpose of try and buy gets defeated. Or there are promotional products which are already offered, but customers are not using it. And that's very good case of product underutilization, which is again something which an organization would not like or prefer. Product acceptance, key figure. There would be multiple products that an organization would roll out. The question is, how much subscription, when we look at the subscription versus unsubscribed statistics of that product and take a trend of it, how is it faring? Has it breached a specific threshold? And if so, then it means that better than maintaining that, which incurs additional cost, they may have to consider migrating. The existing customers are offering some options where they can upgrade that specific package. Let's move to the next section in the Q2C lifecycle, which is billing and invoicing. So when we take that billing and invoicing, let's look at 4 types of leakages. One is discount calculation. So when we calculate the discount, when the systems calculate the discount, if it is incorrect, that is, it could be over the discount that is applied, could be a missed case, it could be under discounted, in which case the customer becomes dissatisfied. Again, it could result in churn. They may feel cheated, so they may churn out. Contact center costs could increase, etc. Or if it is over discounted, in that case, the organization loses the revenue. So it's important to get the discount calculation right. Incorrect tariff configuration. It is quite often it happens that there are manual errors that happens while doing the tariff configuration. Certain information is missed out when the mails are being sent. Certain processes not fine-tuned well, and that could result in in revenue loss and also large number of calls to the call center. Omission of certain taxes or tax exemption, especially in those countries where the taxation structure is relatively complex. Often what we see is that the CRM or the CPQ system has a set of data which is not matching that of the billing system. This means that the contact center employee would not be in a position to give a true picture to those who are calling them. Moreover, if during billing time these omissions are not considered accurately, that can impact additional cost to the organization, because this would mean additional government licensing, penalties, etc. for that specific organization. Termination errors. Termination can happen in the billing, but the service continues, right? This happens again across the industry, and that can result in revenue loss. So we have seen till this. Now there are other scenarios such as renewals and payments, where again we see types of revenue losses that are happening. Sharath, my colleague, he can explain some of the types that he has come across. Sharath, if you could explain what are the type of revenue leakages that you have come across when it comes to renewals and payments.
Hello, everyone. The first one, we on the top list, we have segregated the 4 cases, where the first one is the ineffective tracking of the contracts. Let's say any critical contract which is not getting auto-renewed requires an early interaction with the customer, figuring out the unused items or the subscriptions in favor of an end customer business is known as fit to business, which will again increase the trust of the customers with the company. And the next we have error prones on renewals. Error prones can be due to the system errors or a configurations mismatch, wrong quantities, or a syntax errors in the billing parameters. Next one we have on the price indexing. It's similar to the year on year, the same price of the product being continued or a discounts continued beyond a promised dates for the products which are on high demand in the market. This is kind of wrong price based on the margins. And the next one is on the auto renewal failures. Auto renewals failures, for example, when we are doing a patch renewal or a batch upgrades, can lead to failures. It can be due to the error prone reasons that listed, or it can be due to the throttling errors at the provisioning system, or trying to activate a retired product, or a complex flow validations. So these are the common scenarios that each business will come across. And when it comes to the payment, we have the commission tracking, where the commission tracking should be under the limits within the margin of the product, that particular product, and avoiding duplicate commissions for the same activations. Also, there could be the logically flawed revenue share models when we are dealing or integrating with multiple vendors. With the revenue share models, there can be flaws in how we calculate the revenue. For example, a vendor might be charging based on the hits he's getting, but the company might be charging the end subscribers upon a complete content download. That's one a good example of a faulty model. The next we have on the top discounted customers, that is having offering a high discounts on a products for the customers who was not paying on time, or a customers who are not loyal. and offering a discounts beyond certain thresholds, ignoring the margins that company can make. And the last one we have listed is on the payment failures. It might be repeated payment gateway failures. It can be due to the glitches, which can lead to customer severe dissatisfaction. And because of that, customer might change his mind and not go with the purchase. So these are the common scenarios that we have seen.
Thanks, Sharad. So now the question is, how do we handle the revenue leakage, or what's the solution, right? How do we go about it? So to start with, to address the problem, we need to definitely understand the problem. We need to monitor the problem. So we need to monitor the subscription matrices which are there through a decision intelligence platform or a decision intelligence system. And this decision intelligence system should be industry aware, because we're talking about subscription as a horizontal. It's important to understand what matters in that specific industry. The thresholds which are there for one industry may not be the same for the other one. But of course, there would be commonalities, and that obviously has to be captured. For example, the monthly recurring revenue, right? Or the customer retention rate, the revenue recoverable versus recoverable, or specific revenue leakage cases, as what we discussed in the previous slides. So all these definitely have to be captured. And on top of it, there would be new KPIs or new signals that would be coming in, which would be of high interest to the shareholders of that business. Example, revenue churn rate, right? That indicates that, okay, customer retention rate might be a challenge, but how is it looking when it comes to the revenue churn rate? Is that, if that is healthy, it kind of indicates that the business is still good. Or the discount availed versus payment delays, right? What just like what Sharad mentioned, that if there is a specific customer who has availed a heavy discount but is not very good in giving timely payments, then that's something that the head of the sales have to look into before the next renewal, contract renewal. And there has to be some system which is giving that feed or that information to the head and providing the right recommendation. Thresholds are very important. When we are talking about multiple blips, multiple signals which are there, it's important to have these thresholds set depending on the industry, so that the respective business owner and his analyst and his team gets the timely notification when a threshold breaches. It could be a positive breach or it could be a negative breach. Positive in the sense they have met the target, negative means the target is not met, it is actually a red kind of a scenario. Now, this monitoring is good, but how about the analysis? That's a crux, isn't it? Ability to analyze the data, which is there, the 360 data that we are getting, not just the siloed data, not just one system specific data, but getting all the feeds from these various systems, analyze the ability to analyze the data, identify the patterns, and importantly, recommend the corrective actions. So how can that be done? Example, certain payment methods have a higher failure rate, right? And yet that payment gateway is a very good partner for you. The terms and conditions between both of you is wonderful. But on the other side, it is giving higher failure rate. How do you handle this, right? So you could actually give that an indication in the website that, which would kind of indicate how these payment gateways are faring, which gives the choice to the customer in terms of selecting the appropriate payment gateway. Or let's take another example, the rental pattern in terms of car rental business, to help design the discounts and promotions, or analyzing the warranty. Another one is the segmentation. A segmentation which is not static, right, but which is periodical in nature, to assess the customer's behavior. Now, a customer might traverse over through various segments, and that can be an indication to determine or to predict what is the likelihood of that customer churning out. Identifying areas where operational efficiency can be improved is definitely one way to reduce the revenue leakage. A simple example would be test billing, or verifying that the bills which for a new product that is being launched, or for a bunch of products that are being made available. Let's say it takes a 2% day per bill cycle to assess, to go through these test bills and do the verification. If it's a 11 bill cycle service provider, that means that it is 22, it's equivalent to 1 FT per month, right? And if that can be automated, or a decision intelligence platform can help reduce that, then that's awesome efficiency that is being added. The energy can be channelized into other areas. Pricing audit and pricing strategies is very critical. As I mentioned previously, the tariffs that are being configured could be erroneous. Conducting regular pricing audits definitely helps, and having an automated mechanism for that definitely helps. Changing and optimizing the pricing strategy depending on the type of business, creating timely packages, discounts, and promotions. So, and this again depends on the business. For example, in the case of SaaS, it's about applying the right pricing indexation, right, and not continuing the same discounted price year over year. Banks giving the specific fee waivers to finer segmented customers depending on the nature of, or on the segment of that, where that customer belongs to. Or if you take the case of auto business, it could be in the rental where the fee for specific service is being offered, or cases where OEMs can incentivize the miles that are being driven to promote the usage and the usage behavior of their users. So pricing strategy definitely plays an important role, and decision intelligence platform has to provide that inputs to that pricing strategy. Process optimization is something that cannot be avoided. Often, many of the inefficiencies are caused because of process gaps, and it is those have to be fixed on priority, especially if the volume of loss becomes quite evident. Example, reducing the cart abandonment ratio. There are still quite a lot of e-commerce sites. Quite often, its abandonment happens because of various small reasons, confusion, etc. So, analyzing that and providing the inputs, offering regular customer education for business such as insurance or rental equipment inspection in the case of auto industry. So, across the industry, having a view in terms of where they can focus on would definitely help. Billing and payment system automation definitely helps in reducing the billing errors and failed payments. It helps in terms of making the process more efficient. It's very important while the automation is being done to also send the real-time feeds to a DI platform or a decision intelligence platform to identify the data discrepancies and the revenue leakage. Predicting payment failures and offering prescriptive actions such as timely notification. Example, a credit card is about to get expired and that customer belongs to a specific segment. So perhaps the reminders would require 3 or 4 times compared to, say, another segment customer, or perhaps that would require a call rather than an SMS, right? So predicting and providing the prescription in terms of what is the preferred channel through which the solution can be offered. That would definitely be helpful. Providing the installment plans, deferred payment options, and financing from the billing side. Predicting that the contact center loading would increase because a specific bill run is not that efficient. That would definitely help the organization to have an elastic arrangement with in terms of staffing up early rather than last minute struggling to handle the various calls that are coming in to that center. Payment gateways, it's one huge area where optimization can be done. They definitely need a built-in fraud detection and prevention mechanism. Not that external fraud and detection prevention mechanism is not required, that is also required, but having this would definitely help. It will form first line of defense on the transactions and stop this high volume of transactions hitting the core system. Regular capabilities of payment gateway, definitely that is expected. And apart from that, the feeds from these systems to get that 360-degree view, those have to be fed into the decision intelligence system. Offering multiple and flexible payment options would definitely increase the conversion rate by appealing to a larger customer segment. It will reduce the risk of payment transaction failures. And it is important to have these payment gateways being aware of the local regulations. For example, if it's an international service provider, in which case the international service provider should be aware that there are certain additional restrictions when a person tries to make a payment And it's important to let that individual know as to why the payment is being failed. Perhaps it's because the international transaction is being barred, which will enable that user to go and to this card settings and enable the international transactions. Payment options, these payment gateways come with flexible options, including financing. So if there are such options, that would increase the number of subscriptions which service provider can get. Implementing industry-tailored subscription management software. This goes with a DI system. It has to be automated, being the subscription, renewals, cancellation, reducing the billing errors. As much automation would definitely help. Apart from that, what is also required is to offer flexible subscription options with a short rollout time. And obviously, to get the 360-degree view. And when I say 360-degree view, it is the holistic view, not just touching the elephant's leg and telling the elephant is looking like a pillar. It's not like that. To get the holistic view, all these systems have to feed the data to the decision intelligence system to get the right revenue assurance and the business assurance that an organization would want to. Apart from the subscription management software, the billing software, etc., there would be specific add-on softwares to boost the business efficiency. Right? Example would be if you look at home fitness, then the appointment scheduling is something that would help in terms of automating the reminders to the customers, offering flexible scheduling options. If it is gaming, then the DRM would help in terms of encrypting the game files. Car rental, it will help in terms of identifying equipment damage or motor vehicle usage. So there would be like some specific softwares which would actually boost the business efficiency of that specific business. So with that, the question comes that how do we handle these entire solution? How do we put this entire solution? So one thing that we can do is build a platform that can absorb these various data points and help the organization, help the right business owner detect and prevent the revenue leakage, and help them thrive in the subscription world, provide them the right signals, the right business assurance, so that they can take the right decisions, right? Not just some information, but information that helps in decision making. And that's what X Factors do. It's a decision intelligence platform that detects and prevents revenue leakage and helps organization thrive in the subscription world. What you see here is an example of it. You could see revenue leakage specific dashboards, such as accounts active beyond trial, with visual alerts that indicates whether a threshold has been breached or not. It can also give information in terms of how the business is faring. Right? For example, the enterprise business is doing quite well. The targets are all achieved for that specific month.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Sharat. So we will open it up for Q&A. Cool. So I'll start with the first question. Funnily, so it's related to the poll that we just did, Vishal. How many of these issues, the problems that you mentioned, are detected by billing system? So that was the question.
So not all of these can be detected by the billing system. For example, if there is a mismatch between the code and the billing, which one is right? How do we know that, right? So billing system alone cannot provide that solution. So it's not a siloed approach that we are talking about. For a business to move forward, they need to take a holistic approach. And that's where X Factors come in. It gives the right information to the right person at the right time. And that's the value of X Factors.
Got it. And there is another related question, which is sure billing system cannot detect all of it, but how easy is it to integrate X Factors with a billing system?
It's pretty easy. So we have got standard adapters for a large number of billing systems. So the integration is pretty fast. You'll be able to integrate and then get the relevant data set and use that in terms to help organizations make the decision. Right?
Cool. Can I integrate it with billing systems such as Salesforce, Zora, SAP, Brim, or any other platform? Is it for all the platforms, or do we need to build adapters for specific platforms?
So for most of the top ones which we are aware, adapters are there. For example, Salesforce.com, Zora, etc. We already have adapters. There could be some which are relatively new or which we are yet to develop. So in that case, also it is not a big challenge. Custom adapters are definitely something that we can do and we have done.
Got it. All right. So here is interesting question. How long does it take to implement X factors and start seeing the value through leakage detection? How long does it take?
Yeah, so we come with quite a few pre-built adapters, pre-built KPIs, and then of course the experts matters. The idea is to productize our experience in the subscription world. So it would take a few weeks rather than months or year.
Okay, great. So it takes within weeks we can start seeing the results. Fantastic. Super. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll keep doing several of these insightful sessions on revenue leakage. As I said earlier, our experts are unapologetically passionate about two things. One is subscription industry, and second is the decision intelligence and everything that's related to that. Super. Thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you again. Good night. Good evening.
Thank you,
Good day.
Kiran. Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.